Right, so Keir Starmer, he does make a lot of his football fandom, doesn't he? His love of Arsenal, apparently. And aside from weaponising the Lucy Letby case for his own ends right now, as I've spoken about in another video, much of his recent social media attention has been on the Lionesses, of course. He's been ridiculed for wanting the team to all be made dames. Quite frankly, given the awful people given gongs these days, why would any of them want to accept such a thing and be associated with all those deplorables who already have said things? But it's another claim Starmer has made that has exposed a desire to not spend money on the things that need it as political choice, and that the choices he's likely to make in power will be pretty rancid ones as well. Now, ahead of the Lionesses' eventual unfortunate defeat, sad defeat as it was, Starmer was banging his fists, wanting a new bank holiday in honour of them. Well, what a good idea. What a wonderful idea. Corbyn promised us 4, of course. That was called daft, though. We have fewer set holidays, public holidays each year than any other country in Europe, pretty much. We're owed a bank holiday or 4. But as always comes up when such things are suggested, oh, we can afford that. That's a bit pricey, isn't it? We need you proles and serfs to work to keep us in the lifestyle we've become accustomed to. The kind of thing you can imagine the establishment type saying, can't you? Whilst quaffing bottles of Dom and discussing their property portfolios, that kind of thing. Well, how much is a bank holiday then? How much would it cost? What is the dent to the economy? But it isn't half of what it is by not putting more money in our pockets to spend in the economy and actually drive said economy, is it? Yeah, they would never have that conversation though, do they? The price tag of a bank holiday, and the last time this was estimated, we don't actually have a current figure, a very recent figure at all. The last time it was estimated was back in 2010, so 13 years ago, and the price of a bank holiday then, as estimated in a House of Commons library report, put the price tag at £2.9 billion. The Bank of England and the Office for Budget Responsibility predictably immediately came down, shut down the notion of any such new holiday on the basis, oh, that would be terrible. That would negatively impact growth. Growth for who? We never see any, do we? Well, of course they would say that, and of course it would. It's a day off, isn't it? Of course there's going to be an economic knock-on effect. But that's not the point of it, is it? It's a day off. Take Malta. Let's take Malta as an alternative. Far smaller economy than ours. They have 14 public holidays a year. We have 8. How come they can afford them and we can't? Political choice as ever, isn't it? This is the same Bank of England, of course, that is currently telling us all we have to be kept poor and need to stop asking for pay rises because it hurts the economy. It's the proverbial person stood on the mountain of cash, shouting down at us, counting our pennies below, saying, your greed is hurting the economy, isn't it? Funnily enough, a real-world example of just that has just been exposed, as ftse 100 executive pay has gone up by 16%. The equivalent of a £500,000 pay rise, and puts their wages at 118 times the average worker wage. Can you imagine people asking for a 16% pay rise? What the response would be? I think we all know the answer to that, don't we? It's ordinary people wanting a pay rise that hurts the economy, though, is what we're always told. Where are the calls for wage restraint with these executives, then? Well, it never happened when they go over deaf ears. They're donors, they're loyalists, they vote Tory, of course. Anyway, let's get back on track a little bit. So Keir Starmer, he wanted this bank holiday. He floated the idea of this bank holiday, which we can reliably say, shall we say, would cost these days well in excess of £2.9 billion to roll out. The thing is, Starmer is very good at ruling out policy these days, as we know. We can't afford to do what we wanted to do, is the oft-used excuse his side come out with, because of the pandemic, because of the way the Tories have wrecked the economy, the cost of living crisis. The lies, frankly, as all government spending in a fiat economy like ours that control the production of their own currency is a political choice. Starmer has come out and said in a completely tin-eared example that he couldn't afford to go to university himself now in this day and age. Well, why did you scrap your pledge to axe tuition fees then, you prat? Fiscal rules, again, it's political choice, and there's no economic basis to them, but they keep coming out with this mantra, don't they? Fiscal rules. It's just choice. Of course, the choice he made, earning himself the nickname Sir Kid Starver, deservedly so, was his political choice to roll back on ending child poverty by deciding to keep the Tories' evil two-child benefit cap, which has led to greater child poverty, the return of Victorian-era diseases like rickets and scurvy, people choosing not to have families now, seeing a trend towards a declining population, and if overturned, would lift 250,000 children out of poverty and improve the lives of a further 850,000. What better investment of government money can there be in ensuring the healthy development of the next generation, the neglect of which will have an educational and later economic and health impacts, costing us all more in the long run? That's obvious, isn't it, surely? Well, we can't afford this, Starmer and Reeves say, but we can afford a bank holiday likely topping £3 billion in today's money. Well, how much would it be to lift these kids out of poverty then? If we can afford the bank holiday, the child poverty issue and ending the two-child benefit cap, well, that must be vastly more expensive then. Well, it isn't. It would have an upfront cost of around £1.3 billion, so easily less than half the economic cost of this new bank holiday that Starmer was crowing for. You could lift even more kids out of poverty with what you choose to blow on a bank holiday, demonstrating once again it is choice, 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 all the way, choice. The knock-on effects would have greater economic impacts too, since lifting kids out of poverty would end up paying for itself in savings, because the two-child benefit cap being scrapped in and of itself would save the economy some £40 billion. The savings being made on parents being able to return to work, having more money to spend driving the economy, and the reduced drain on other areas such as health and well-being in the medium to long term are really quite significant, and that's substantial. But no, Starmer can't feed the kids. Starmer wants to keep them in poverty, keep them starving, keep them hungry. But if it had been up to him, he could have afforded a vanity giveaway that would have let him run around the park, swinging his football shirt around his head, nasally shouting, "England, England." He's a prat, a political pygmy, an absolute balloon and out-of-touch idiot, and really wouldn't be anyone to run this country any better than the prat we have now, the unelected spineless Sunak. Not so much cheering the football, but more likely cheering those FTSE 100 pay rises instead. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Do leave a comment and have your say. Join in the conversation, please do. Meanwhile, here's a bit more on today's Thatcher the Milk Snatcher, aka Keir Starmer the Kid Starver, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.